that we all know we rightfully should have.
A unique brand of sportscasting with your number one sports team.
Marvellous Nakamba to take here for Luton. But he scores that.
Got in! Taken the catch! That man Raza! It's Satara with the wicket!
Game analysis, predictions, players, and guest interviews.
Rodri! City in dreamland!
I want to continue here. I will continue here. I think the Saudi League can be in the fifth in the world.
It's the complete radio sports show. And it kicks off right now.
Star FM, your first choice for sport on Monday, the 11th of September 2023. It is the Daily Sports Zone, proudly brought to you by Copy Spares. I am Rukuzo Wengesa. Join me this evening. Proud to have David Sengu, a Caps United chief scout, as well as Steve Vickers and Simba Chiminya, a full house in the studio. I'm sure you can tell it's a very special edition of the show for one particular reason. We'll get into that in just a bit. Here's what you can expect on tonight's edition of the Monday Review Show. Hooliganism returned to Zimbabwean football as Highlanders fans caused the abandonment of the second Battle of Zimbabwe match of the season. Just how can the chaos be kicked out of the game for good? And then we will discuss the final round of AFCON 2023 qualifiers with particular focus on just how good Nigeria, who Zimbabwe will play in the World Cup qualifiers, don't forget, were in dismantling Sao Tome and Principe, and just how many more Grand Slam titles can Novak Djokovic win before he retires after finally pulling level with Margaret Court on 24 majors, the most in history. As some of your messages already coming through on our WhatsApp platform, let's not forget the number. That is 0772-162-651, 772-162-651. Blafeja Panoten, always very quick to send in his first message. Anzi maitro akaita masupporters Highlanders anakunaka hondo haidiwe kubhora tinotarisira mutongo chaiwo kwavari. Also hoping for something serious coming from the Premier Soccer League there. Teacher Beeper Bonda Mission, they're saying my friend was injured in the skirmishes at Barber Fields yesterday. I for one appeal to the Premier Soccer League to come down hard with a sledgehammer and hand down a heavy fine for Boso as a deterrent measure to would-be offenders of this caliber. And last one for now, Anzi, Dynamos Boso matches should be played in empty stadia to protect the reputation of the most beautiful game in the world, because you can't have the same teams behaving in such a way every time they meet. Isutirungoro wawani toenda kumba zvedu bora rapera saka Violence Day. This is Super Green, a very big Caps United supporter. Caps United fans have been known to cause a bit of nonsense at the end of matches. Maybe not causing the abandonment of a match, but at the end of a match. So Caps United fans, let's not completely wash our hands of this, but do send through your messages on the WhatsApp platform 0772-162-651.
Today's local news on the Daily Sports Zone.
Alright, so of course at Copy Spare Parts Distributors, we are a supplier of genuine motor vehicle parts and accessories. We also supply genuine Yutong bus spare parts at our Granite branch. We now have a total of 14 branches nationwide and still counting. Kwese Kwamuri, Tirukuya Ikoko. Watch this space. So yes, it's finally here. The new Simon Mazorodze branch is now open, located at the Chicken Inn complex near Zindoga. Come along for opening specials. You stand a chance to walk away with something very special. Those in Waterfalls, Art Benny Road, surrounding areas. This is your branch. Visit us today. And as well, we have a Mashingo branch that is now open, located at number 11 Hoffmeyer Street at Tatenda Complex, right next to Dr. Makurira's clinic. This is our newest branch other than the Zindoga one. Come along and support it, all of you who are in Mashingo and surrounding areas. Copy Spares, making the whole nation drive. Okay, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. The Battle of Zimbabwe started at very breakneck pace yesterday. It looked like it was going to be a classic match before descending into chaos, violence, and abandonment.
This is it then to Donald Mudadi, 4 goals. This is it with a cross in the ball. And Nigeria scores! Dynamos to take the lead here with the match just 2 minutes old. And it's Mudadi in the box. Hey, they're coming through. It's Makarati. It's the missiles are being thrown now a number of missiles on the pitch.
And the fans are storming the pitch, obviously. This is a hefty fine for Highlanders, and they'll obviously lose this point. I won't say lose the points. Remember, I'm not the disciplinary committee, but it's not good for football when the fans invade the pitch like this.
Big thanks to our sister television station ZTN for giving us that commentary coming from Barber Fields yesterday afternoon. A very bad, terrible scenes at the end of that game, of course. So hooliganism reared its a very ugly and unwelcome head in Zimbabwean football once again. Highlanders fans going on the rampage after just 36 minutes of play when their beloved Boso was down 2-0 to hated enemies Dynamos at Barber Fields. Highlanders came into the game on the back of a 2-game losing streak. It looked like that slump in form would continue as Dimbare struck twice in the first 33 minutes. As you heard there, Keith Madera's early strike and Frank Makarati's header there putting them ahead. But when Boso were denied a penalty for a perceived foul in the box just after their second goal, their fans began pelting the pitch with missiles before eventually storming the ground and causing the ultimate abandonment of the game after nearly 30 minutes of running battles with both the police and some Dimbare fans. Dynamos are certain now to receive the 3 points on a 3-0 walkover scoreline once the Premier Soccer League's disciplinary committee has ruled on the abandoned match. Before I get into my pundits, I have something to say. I just have a little bit of a rant. I have to get it off my chest. The first point: this is the worst thing that could happen to Zimbabwean football when we're talking about attracting money into the game. There is no corporate sponsor that will want to attach their brand, their name to Zimbabwean football and associate with those scenes we saw. That was absolute chaos. We can't keep talking about we need more money in Zimbabwean football and then keep living like this in terms of allowing such chaos to rule our football. Second point, when it comes to the Highlanders supporters or those few who actually caused the abandonment, what good does it do causing a match to be abandoned? There were still 55 more minutes to play in that match. We know that one single goal can change the momentum of a match. It just needed one moment for your team to be able to even get a point or go on to win. Why would you abandon the game and therefore lose the match on a 3-0 scoreline? That's also going to hurt your goal difference. You're now a point off the top of the table. Anything can happen. When it comes to goal difference, you're going to be hurting yourselves here because you threw away a game over a penalty decision. Referees get wrong all the time, unfortunately. Anyway, we've been seeing the same thing in English Premier League when they have VAR. Absolutely, completely unnecessary behavior by the Highlanders fans, or those few anyway. Not all of them were misbehaving. David, you can start off today. Talk to me. Your thoughts on the chaos we saw at Emagumeni.
Yeah, I was doing analysis on ZTN Prime TV yesterday, and you know what? I enjoyed 36 minutes of football yesterday. I thought that was, fantastic football that was, displayed by both sides in those 36 minutes. But I never thought that game would come to an end in the 38th minute because of a penalty decision. How many decisions have gone Highlanders' way when they were winning games, even when they were drawing games? They have to think about that. And for me to just start analyzing the last part of those 7 minutes going into the halftime, Mr. V, I think Highlanders, I thought maybe they had chances also to get back into the game, but they didn't get that goal they needed. But I thought maybe second half, if the game was going to halftime on a 2-0, second half they could come back. How many games have teams come back from 2-0 down, went on to win the match or even drawing the match? They had 55 minutes, like you said, Rukuzo, of getting something out of that game. What if second half was going to belong to them? Yeah, first half belonged to Dynamos, and second half was maybe it was going to belong to Highlanders. They were going to make a comeback. Then we could be talking about something else, especially when you are title challenges. Anything can happen, especially in the second half. Yeah, referees make mistakes every game that they do. They are not perfect. They are also human. They
in this case, I don't even think the referee made a mistake with that penalty.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at the stats between Dynamos and Highlanders, I think it's since 2010, all their matches have never finished, especially at Barber Fields, where either Highlanders or equalizing or Dynamos are equalizing. All their matches, they never end. Even last season, their match never ended as well, which was 2022. And then this year again, their match never ended. So, I think it's the picture that is there between those two sides. It's not looking good.
Yeah, that's a good rant from you, Rukudzo, for starters, like you say, it does not attract money, it chases money away from football. One of the reasons that Supersport ended their contract, having covered the Casalaga PSL for 5 years up to 2017, was because of this fixture and because of the match being abandoned on several occasions when we were covering it live on Supersport in that 5-year period. And that was the best deal that Zimbabwean football has ever had, although it could have been bigger, but it was the best deal that's ever been had. So disappointing. Highlanders issued a statement today blaming it on a few selfish individuals. I think that's probably watering it down, because I would say there were a few hundred individuals who were involved in that violence, running onto the pitch, throwing the missiles. Some people got badly injured as well. It was such a good game. It was so exciting, whether you were at Barber Fields with a full house, incredible atmosphere. If you were listening to the commentary on Star FM, fantastic commentary with Muzi Hadebe and Ronald Kidiza Sibanda. If you're watching it on ZTN as well, so exciting. This was the best of Zimbabwean football, the best of the PSL, and for it to end like this is just so sad. The penalty shout, it was a close one, no doubt. There's no VAR, obviously, so we've got to go with what the referee believes. And also, I think the fact that Highlanders had lost those previous 2 games, that hit the fans very hard. But there's still such a long way to go in the season. You've got to put those losses behind you and build again, because they can still be the champions. They could have been. They're going to have probably, $8,000 fine, most likely, to cope with as well. It was just such a sinking feeling when this happened, because it was a fantastic game. So fast, so entertaining, brilliant stuff. Dynamos stretching Highlanders to get those 2 goals. And it happened again, Rukudzo.
Yeah, it's really sad, Rukudzo, when you look at it. I would just look at it from a point of view of a peace-loving Highlanders fan, that those fans wanted the game to continue, and they had hopes that probably their team could come back into the game. Look at that chance that Leonard Skua missed. He scored. It was going to be game on, and it's something to play for. And look, even the formation, yes, Dynamos in an upper hand, but they still had those sporadic attacks and could have gotten something out of them. And looking at it, the statement that was issued by Highlanders, blaming it on some selfish individuals. These are the individuals that pay $5 to get into the game, but when the club is being fined, is the club that is going to pay $2,000, $8,000, depending on whatever punishment is going to be meted out to them. But I also believe that the club should also do more to also educate their players, also not to entice or incite the fans on the field of play. Because I remember speaking to a retired referee that from the time that I used to officiate these games, you talk to the senior players from both ends, so that when there are incidents like that, you don't go mob the referee. The more you do that, the more you also give ammunition to the fans that are agitated on the stands. These are fans who are looking at a 3rd consecutive defeat, and the way that they are going to react. So whatever cue that they get from the senior players, they also take that. Look at the game that was abandoned between FC Platinum and Highlanders last year. You find the common denominator of the senior players that would also go in there and mob the referee and start demonstrating against the referee. So I think Highlanders also need to do that. I was just looking at the footage also that was there. You look at even Joe Lupasla trying to talk and calm down Andrew Mbeba to say this is not the right way to do things, because if you saw the second, when they considered the second goal, Mbeba had to go and stamp on Tanaga Shandura, who was on the ground. So on that occasion, you can also say that the referee was lenient, or he didn't see that, but the second assistant saw it and could have signaled to say that he stamped on a player that was down, and that was a dismissible offense. So I think they also need to act on their players. And lastly, you also have to look at the fact that there are other elements that take advantage of such games, and what are the stakeholders doing to combat that, because you look at the footage that are also circulating about some other elements that went in there just to cause mayhem. So I think it's something that the club needs to ponder on and look at how they can avoid such situations, act on their players, and also try to educate the leadership of the fans.
I wanted to talk briefly as well about the actual football we managed to see in those 36 minutes. David, you touched on it a little bit. What did Dynamos do so well that enabled them to breach Highlanders twice in those 33 minutes? What was it exactly about the tactics that they used? And talk to me as well about those goals, the defending for those goals as well. Highlanders on their side as well, they were very poor.
Yeah, during the analysis, I think I talked much about the central midfield, of Dynamos, Junior Makonike, Tanaka Shandirwa, and Donald Mudadi. I talked about the combination that these boys have ever since the season started. Look at the amount of energy that is there, the movement, and everything that they're doing. There is a bit of combination that they have created in the center of the midfield. That's why you see even Anashad Reginyawa, they are not even playing right now in that team because of those boys. If one of them is injured, then you look at who is coming in. Maybe the combination is not there. That's why maybe Highlanders lost it, because the Dynamos midfield was very mobile. And if you look at Mudadi, he was the one who was venturing forward more than these other two who were protecting the central defense.
He created the first goal right from the byline.
Yeah, right from the byline. And then the second goal, it was a set piece, from a free kick that Andrew Beba should have been sent off. And I think, like what Simba said, in terms of discipline, I think that's where Highlanders is lacking. And if you look at Brito as well, his team setup, I think it's now, every team now knows the Highlanders starting 11. And you can plan knowing who is going to be playing where when you're playing against Highlanders. He doesn't tweak with his team. And if you look at the central midfield, I think when I saw Melikaya on the bench, I knew Highlanders were going to be in trouble. He has been the best player in the central midfield alongside Brighton Manny. And for Brighton yesterday, he was subdued because he was by himself, and the midfield was overrun by Dynamos. And to Peter Mdu, I think, as the senior player, like what Simba has said, he really needs to look at himself. All the abandoned matches that was abandoned between Highlanders and FC Platinum, Highlanders and Dynamos, Peter is always there. Why do you have to complain? After 2 minutes, win a possession and you fail to score, then that's when you start complaining to the referee. I think the referees committee as well, they need to sit down and come up with some rules that they can suit the referees, so that my players are angry and then gonna ref. Now in EPO, my players are gonna move up the referee. Time to put a yellow card. So I think we need to have that rule set in our league.
Final point on this big game, Mr. V. Highlanders, as I said, they conceded 2 very poor goals. I think defensively, Ariel Sibanda, for me, in the second goal in particular, you should be saving that. It's now looking like a terminal decline. Am I wrong to say that? Am I being over dramatic? They've lost their previous 2 games. They're going to lose this one on a 3-0 scoreline. This decline now seems like it's terminal, and their 17-year drought to continue. Is there some way for them to stem the tide, stem this bleeding that's going on there?
Yeah, definitely. The race is now really wide open. Well done to Dynamos for getting into the race now after being way out of contention. Gezi on top. On that second goal, Frank Makarati outmuscled Peter Mudua to convert from the corner kick as well. So that strong defence that Highlanders built on that 19-match unbeaten run, that's concerning now. But they are still in it, but now they've got to psychologically recover from this.
Yeah, they are very much still in it. The next game is against Yada, and it's a game that they can still bounce back and win. But the most important thing for Highlanders is mentality. They just need strong mentality going into the next fixtures. And what you have spoken about, the fact that even any other opponent that is going to play against them knows how they are going to play. And like on Friday when he spoke about this game, he said that as long as they want to go toe to toe against the teams that have got mobile players, they were going to lose. And that's exactly what happens against Dynamos. And all the teams that are playing against them from the game that they played against FC Platinum, they are stretching them on the wings, and their midfield is exerting a lot of pressure on the defense. The absence of Darlington also caused some problems for them, and Melikaya also has been one of their best players, like David said, and his absence, whether they wanted to use him as an impact player or not, but damage was already done.
All right, we have to talk about the new Premier Soccer League leaders as well. I want to give some respect to Ngezi Platinum Stars. They managed to win a big game for themselves. Of course, they edged Manika Diamonds by a goal to nil on Saturday. Kudzaichi Guida netting the winning penalty with just 8 minutes to play to put Tekesho Chiragui's men in the driver's seat by a single point ahead of Boso with 12 matches to go. Mr. V, big win there for Ngezi Platinum Stars. Some people starting to doubt their title credentials a bit. Now they're on top. Can they manage to find some consistency to keep at the top, because it looks like maybe Boso are starting to fall away?
Well, it'll be fierce competition, but if I was a Ngezi fan, I like the sound of that, winning 1-0 with a late goal, which is a penalty. Maybe things are going your way. Maybe it's your season.
And then, of course, you have to talk about Mandala Stadium. Inconsistent FC Platinum returning to winning ways with a 2-1 win over Caps United. An own goal from God knows Murira and Tando Ngwenya's clincher, giving Platinum a victory over Caps. For Makepe, that is now 7 league games without a win this season in free fall after a promising start. And this year they don't have the excuse of financial issues. So what is the excuse this year, David?
The excuse is we are not winning games, right? And
why not?
And you know what? It's a phase that comes within every other team, especially when you're off form, right? Then you're not winning games and you're not even scoring goals. So I've been crying about scoring goals, to any other team, but especially those so-called big teams. But on Saturday, I think that game could have gone either way. If you look at the chances that were missed by both sides, Caps United and even FC Platinum, I think it was as stretch as Mr. V. Because the game creates at least 16 chances that could have come up with goals, but only 3 goals were recorded, because it could have had much more goals. Tondela Mateo, I think first half he saved almost like 5 one-on-ones. Imagine. And if you look at Caps United first half, Ian Nyoni had his chance. Joseph Tulan again has got his chance, blessing Sarupinda as well. Then you look at second half again, it started from the way it ended, chances at both ends. But look, FC Platinum at the last laugh, a mix up at Caps United's defense, and it was an easy goal for Tando Ngwenya, to be honest. And you know what, Caps has been conceding those soft goals. For me, they are soft goals.
Let's hear now as well from the victorious coach, FC Platinum boss Numan Mapeza.
We need to go 3-4 games, positive results, winning game. Then I say, look, we have now managed to get the momentum, but we have to see. But what is better is to go away, collect maximum points, play at home as well, collect maximum points. Then we can say, look, I think we're in the right direction now. So we have been struggling to get results in terms of consistency.
Simba, very briefly, talk to me about there. What Mr. Mapeza is talking about there. Do you think that they need to, shall we say, create a long string of wins to say that they're back, or it's just part of their inconsistent season?
I think at this stage, FC Platinum are dangerous, more dangerous than the other teams that are also in the title race. Why? Because if you look at the past 2 seasons, that's how they've managed to race up and win the league title. And when you are the chasing pack, at times the pressure is less, unlike the teams that are at the top. That's why you saw what happened with Highlanders, and also the inconsistent that at times you see from the teams that are at the top. Ngezi Platinum, when you thought they were going to win against Orientals, they lost. So for FC Platinum, they're in a better position to gun for the title, because without so much pressure, once they have got 3 consecutive wins, they are definitely going to catch up with the leading pack, and more so if they do it towards the end of the season when there are 3-4 games left. That's how they've managed to win the title in the past seasons.
Now, sadly, a bus carrying Herentos fans was involved in a serious accident near Makuti on their way to Nyamunga in Kariba for a match against ZPC Kariba. 1 fan tragically lost their life, 8 are in critical condition, while 40 others were treated and discharged from the hospital. Let's hope the 8 who are in critical condition can manage to pull through. A very sad news coming from near Kariba this past weekend. Anyway, your standings in the Premier Soccer League, at the very top we have Ngezi Platinum Stars on top with 42, in second Highlanders with 41 points, Manika Diamonds are in third with 39. For the moment, Dynamos are in fourth with 36, but I'm sure they will get 3 more points and get pool level with Manika Diamonds, checking in fifth place with 36 points. Some of your messages here before we close off this EPSO discussion. Anzi Brito must change his strategy. Defensive football is no longer working, otherwise they will lose all their remaining games and finish outside the top 8. They must fix the midfield and get a true number 9. We did talk about the fact that they did not manage to get Aubrey or Chirinda to help them in attack. Chris Omario Msekiwa, as the hooliganism has no room in our beautiful game, hence hooligans must be dealt with severely. We call upon the PSL leadership to act decisively with Boso hooligans once and for all. Then you have someone here saying Dimbare and Boso matches should be played at Gibo Stadium, $10 for the cheapest ticket. That will be very interesting. And then last one for now, Anzi Caps United Hainama good players, Coach Akato Dakwao Baba Courage Kuborodio, Caps United diehard fan, not at all happy with what Loichi Timwe is serving up there.
This is the Daily Sports Zone. Star FM, your first choice for sport.
Indeed, you are listening to the Daily Sports Zone, proudly brought to you by Copy Spares. Our product range includes suspension components, service kits, engine components, lubricants, timing components, brake and clutch components, body parts and accessories. Now there's good news to all civil servants. Come along for credit facilities for all your purchases. Yes, for all civil servants. Visit any branch today and get a credit facility. You can also contact us on our website. That's www.copyspares.co.zw. Our Facebook page is Copy Spare Parts Distributors. On Twitter or X is @Spares Copy. Our LinkedIn page is Copy Spare Parts Distributors. TikTok is Copy Spares. Hurry now to Copy Spares and experience our world-class service at affordable prices. Copy Spares, making the whole nation drive. Some international football for you now, starting right here in Africa. 2023 AFCON last round of qualifiers. Last night we saw the Gambia securing their place with a dramatic 2-2 draw against Congo Brazzaville in Marrakesh. The match went ahead despite that devastating earthquake which hit the Moroccan city on Friday, killing over 2,000 people. The Gambian squad even slept outside next to the hotel's swimming pool as they were concerned about remaining indoors and of course experiencing any aftershocks. Then already qualified Nigeria thrashed Sao Tome and Principe 6-0 with a hat-trick for Napoli superstar Victor Osimhen, who was the top scorer in qualifying with 10 goals. The Super Eagles are now considered early favourites for next year's finals. Mr. V, I want to talk briefly about Nigeria. Just how scared are you by what you saw from them when you're talking about the Warriors obviously coming up against them during the World Cup qualifiers in November?
Yeah, 10-0 they won the first fixture in the group over Sao Tome, so 16-0 if that was an aggregate scoreline. We can't really judge them on this, but Osimhen is on fire. Taiwo Awani of Nottingham Forest, he also scored. They got Ola Aina, the right back, who's so good coming forward with Nottingham Forest, and their superb winger Samuel Chukwueze of AC Milan. So they're looking really, really strong right now. I'd say they are AFCON favourites, but they do have a habit of disappointing on the big stage.
In fact, they certainly do all the time. When you consider them to be strong, they certainly disappoint. And then you have a situation, was it 2012, when no one was fancying them down in South Africa and they managed to win that AFCON tournament. Other teams that managed to qualify this weekend, we have DR Congo beating Sudan 2-0 at home to qualify. Mozambique sailed through the 3-2 home win over Benin, and Mauritania booked their spot as they beat Gabon by 2-1. Some tennis news as well. Of course, the US Open, the final Grand Slam of the year, was held over the weekend. 19-year-old American Coco Gauff won her first Grand Slam title with a sensational fight back against new world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, winning in 3 sets in front of a loudly partisan crowd in New York. Gauff becomes the first American teenager to win the US Open since Serena Williams back in 1999. Here is the young Gauff.
Thank you first to my parents. Today was the first time I've ever seen my dad cry. He doesn't want me to tell you all that, but he got caught in 4K. He thinks he's so hard, but it's not. So thank you guys. I mean, you believed in me from the beginning. I've been coming to this tournament. My dad took me to this tournament, sitting right there watching Venus and Serena compete. So it's really incredible to be on this stage.
David, of course, another sign of just what kind of legacy Serena and Venus Williams left there. Tennis used to be considered a white sport, a white elite sport as well. Not many black American kids could consider themselves future champions. Coco Gauff now finally living up to that promise she showed when she was 15 years old back in 2019.
Yeah, there's always someone, Rukuzo, that inspires you if you want to reach the top level, and that's what Coco Gauff got from Serena and Venus Williams. And look, it took, I think, almost like 20 something years since Serena Williams won the US Open as a teenager, and that's what Coco Gauff did over the weekend. And I think that inspired her to be who she is today, and everyone is talking about her winning her first Grand Slam title. And I think it's one of those titles that she got kuti anga achita kickstart a career in tennis, and that inspires as well other black players to come over Kumashirogu when she reaches, I think, a milestone as well. And I think Serena is even happy at the moment for Coco Gauff to get the title at the same age that she was.
On the men's side, legendary Serbian Novak Djokovic fought to a straight sets win over Russian third seed Daniel Medvedev. That means nobody, man or woman, has claimed more Grand Slam titles than him. Djokovic now has 24 majors, level with Australian Margaret Court, and he appears in no mood to stop winning just yet. Briefly, Simba, clearly we're looking at the greatest tennis player of all time, because even if you want to talk about Margaret Court, some of her 24 titles were won during the non-open era, when it was just for amateurs. That was when she was winning some of those, Mr. V. So I think now we can say Novak Djokovic is the greatest tennis player of all time that is now level with her.
Yeah, definitely much harder to win a major now. Fantastic. He's benefiting obviously from Rafa Nadal's injury, Roger Federer's retirement. What a win against Medvedev. That second set took 1 hour 45 minutes, so although he won it in straight sets, he had to work very hard. As long as he remains fit, he surely will add a few more to that tally of 24.
And finally, of course, Rugby World Cup in France got underway on Friday.
Dupont to change direction. Jalabert, Mathieu, Jalabert, Tommy and Pinot. They've lost possession again here. And look who's just going to dink it in behind. Melvin Jaminet chasing. Jaminet!
Yes, indeed, the World Cup getting underway with a bang there. France, the hosts, beating New Zealand by 27 points to 13. We had reigning champions South Africa getting their title defense off to a winning start, beating Scotland 18-3. Wales survived a late scare to edge Fiji 32-26, and Japan ran in 6 converted tries to thrash debutants Chile 42-12. On Saturday, there were also wins for fallen heavyweights England and Australia. Italy brushing aside Namibia, while co-favorites Ireland produced the display of the tournament so far in destroying Romania 82-8. I would love to talk more about that rugby, but it's time for me to head out of the studio, leaving me in the hands of Linda Muriro. Muriro on Monday is back, yes, ladies and gentlemen, and she'll be in the studio in just a short while. Big thanks to David Sengu, Steve Vickers, and Simba Chiminya for being my pundits, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about the scenes we saw yesterday at Barber Fields. Highlanders fans, of course, causing the abandonment of another battle of Zimbabwe. The Premier Soccer League certain to come down hard on them. We'll be back again tomorrow evening, 6:05 down to 6:30, right here on Star FM for the Daily Sports Zone. Of course, on your favorite station, sounding good all the time.
You've been listening to the Daily Sports Zone.
Star FM, sounding good all the time.